I'm Evan Pittman, and I'm the master bander for Jibs. My wife Heather is one of my sub banders, and she helps so much with the data.
Bird banding is a scientific method of study where we put up mist nets and capture songbirds, and then we take measurements and we weigh them and sort of get a general basic picture of the bird's health, and we can determine their age and sex.
There's a number of things that makes Jibs different from other banding stations. Where we have no affiliation with any university or other scientific groups. So we don't really have any of that support. And we also have an incredibly long record. We've been banding down there since 1978. And like a 38-year record for like bird banding is really long. It's not the longest, but it's up there. Our biggest expense is renting the house to stay on the island. We live up here in Atlanta, and Jekyll Island is 300-400 miles away. That's our biggest expense. That costs over $2,000 a year.
Started volunteering with Jibs in 2011, so this will be the 5th year. I always wanted to work with wildlife, be a wildlife biologist, and I never would have thought that I would be doing bird banding. Very birdy.
All right.
So, and I saw something that might have been a yellow-throated warbler. It kind of looked like a white-throated sparrow. I didn't get a very good look, but maybe we'll catch it.
Whipwaw, 821.
821. Every day you spend at Jibs is so wonderful. There have been so many wonderful people, and learned so much, and handling the birds and getting to learn about the world that they live in. It's hard to pick out one moment that's outstanding.
Our first day at the station happened to be a cold front come through the night before. And that day, they had 494 birds. It was just something like I had never seen before. For me, it was a big learning time. So I didn't know anything about the birds. I was learning as I go, and I just was enamored with the whole process.
Migrating birds are important because that's pretty much most of our birds. And they're under a lot of trouble too, because there is less and less space to stop on the way as they make these thousands of mile journeys.
We remove a bird from the net. We call it extracting the bird. The birds ideally don't get too tangled up in the net, but there are times that we have to use certain techniques. There are some birds that will stump me, but usually if I work at them for a few minutes, I can figure it out. At Jibs, bird safety is second only to human safety, and sometimes it's first.
What are you doing with the vials?
Well, right now I was just writing on it. So this is a small blood sample, just 17, 20 microliters or so, and I'm collecting them to look for pathogens, mostly avian malaria, possibly West Nile, and I'll look at immune function to compare immune function in breeding versus migrating birds.
Volunteers are absolutely critical. I cannot do this by myself. It's impossible, and I really need as much help as I can get just to run the station and make sure that it's run safely for the birds, that we can process as many birds as possible without causing any injury.
A lot of birders appreciate the value of seeing birds up close and getting the information that we can get from banding that you just can't get from bird watching. There are always things that you notice when you see a bird in the hand that you just could never notice. Like palm warblers have yellow bottoms of their feet, and you don't notice that when the bird is in the tree, but in the hand you can see all those details. This is a gray catbird. We usually get a good number of these every year.
When visitors come into the station and they see a bird for the first time, inches in front of their face, and they just get it, all of a sudden they understand what a bird really is and how beautiful and special and they are. It just clicks in their mind, and you can see that moment reflected in that person's face.
What was it like to hold a bird the first time? For me, it was totally exhilaration. I had worked with animals before, but whole different size animals in a medical way. I used to work with horses as a vet tech my early years, but this was a wholly different. Had this very tiny life form in your hand and that you're responsible for protecting. You have to hold it right with not to hurt it. You have to have a consideration of this other life form. I was hooked, like I say, that first day.
I took over Jibs because there was no one else that was going to be able to do it. And if I didn't, then it wouldn't be there anymore.
So I'd say, if anybody is interested in nature or wildlife, definitely check out bird banding, and because it's a lot of fun, and I think that it's good information that we get.
Anyone can volunteer at Jibs. We take small children even. Like, if you can ferry things back and forth, then we'll take you.